For my theories of personalities class here at CSUMB, I elected to do my video on Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development. Erikson proposed 8 stages of psychosocial development starting at age 0 and ending at age 65 and older. They go from trust or mistrust all the way to ego, integrity versus. According to Erik Erikson, during trust versus mistrust, it's up to the mother to instill in the child the sense of trust through affection, love, and security, or, on the other hand, mistrust by failing to provide that love and affection and security. And he says that the basic strength here is hope, which leads to successful resolution of the crisis during this stage. Stage is autonomy versus doubt and shame. In this one, Erikson points that children want to exercise choice or autonomy. One case or crisis here is toilet training, in which the child wants to exercise his own free will as to when he learns how to potty train, but society, through the parents, tells the kid how to go about toilet training. And he states that the basic strength that child will develop here is will, which is the ability to exercise his free will and self-restraint in the face of society's demands. The next stage is initiative versus guilt, and the issue that results here is the Oedipal relationship, in which one form of initiative develops in the formation of fantasies, manifesting the desire to possess the parent of the opposite sex, while establishing a rivalry with the parent of the same sex. If they punish the child in a negative way, they inhibit the display of initiative, which can carry on with later self-directed activities throughout the child's life. However, if they guide the situation with love and understanding, the child will acquire an awareness of what is permissible behavior and what is not. And the basic strength is purpose, and purpose involves the courage to envision and pursue goals. The next stage is industriousness versus inferiority, in which the child's growing power of deductive reasoning and the ability to play by the rules lead to deliberate refinement of the skills displayed in building things. Erikson describes the theory of stereotype play, in which boys build tree houses and airplanes and girls cook and sew. Here he mentions that attitudes and behaviors of parents and teachers determine how the child perceives themselves in developing and using their skills. Where if a children is scolded, ridiculed, or rejected, they are likely to develop feelings of inferiority, while if they're praised and reinforcement occurs, they develop feelings of competence. And the basic strength here is competence, which is the strength that emerges from industriousness during the latency stage. The next stage is identity cohesion versus role confusion. And if people resolve the identity crisis, they emerge with a strong sense of self-identity and are equipped to face adulthood with sincerity and confidence. However, if people fail to achieve a cohesive identity, they experience an identity crisis in which they exhibit a confusion of roles, in which they do not know who or what they are, where they belong, or where they want to go. Erikson states that even a negative identity, as society defines it, is preferable to no identity at all. However, it does not provide satisfaction as a positive identity would. He noted that peer groups are a strong impact in the development of ego identity in adolescence, but excessive association with fanatical groups or cults, or obsessive identification with icons of pop culture could restrict the developing ego. The basic strength is fidelity, in which the emergence of a cohesive ego identity leads to the emergence of a cohesive ego identity, which encompasses sincerity, genuineness, and a sense of duty. The next stage, intimacy versus isolation, was viewed not as restricted to sexual relationships, but also encompass feelings of caring and commitment. These emotions could be displayed openly without resorting to self-protective or defensive mechanisms, or without fearing the loss of self-identity. He mentions that we can merge identity with someone else's without submerging or losing our own in the process. People who are unable to establish intimate relationships will develop feelings of isolation, which lead to avoiding social contact, rejecting other people, and maybe becoming aggressive towards them. The basic strength here is love, in which Erikson is considered to be the greatest of all human virtues. The next stage is general activity versus stagnation, in which is the need to be actively involved in teaching and guiding the next generation, not just one's own immediate family, but future generations and the kind of society in which they will live. He says that one doesn't have to be a parent in order to display general activity, nor does having a child automatically satisfy this urge. Erikson believes that businesses, governments, social services, and academics provide opportunities for people to express general activity. He says that failure to develop this will lead to stagnation, boredom, and interpersonal impoverishment, which is similar to Jung's description of a midlife crisis. The basic strength here is care, which is a broad concern for others, and believed it was manifested in the need to teach, not only to help others, but also to fulfill one's identity. Erikson's final stage is ego integrity versus despair. Simply stated, ego integrity involves accepting one's place and one's past. If we look back with a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction, believing we have coped with life's victories and failures, then we are said to possess ego integrity. However, if we review our life with a sense of frustration, anger about missed opportunities, and regretful of mistakes that cannot be rectified, then we will feel despair. I selected this theory because it looks at the positive and negative outcomes of actions taken within our lives. It focuses on the why paths in a road, where going down one path leads to positive outcomes, going down the other road it leads to negative outcomes. I also chose this theory because it's a lifespan theory. It covers every aspect of one's lifespan and development, and explains the different crises that each person has to deal with at varying stages of their life. However, as we all know, we're all different people, so we experience these concepts at different ages, or resolve the conflicts in different ways, or conflicts might not be conflicts depending on one's culture or one's heritage.